Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I got a lot of questions on Instagram about my recent testing experience, and I thought I would take this week's video to explain what I went for and what the testing was like and what I found out as a result. I was referred to this specialized clinic because I had been diagnosed with POTS, which stands for Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia syndrome. I was diagnosed by my cardiologist after doing just a few simple tests, but I hadn't taken any medication for it because I felt like it was fairly under control at the time. Then recently I started feeling a lot worse fatigue-wise, and we determined that the reason for that was my dysautonomia. Once I moved to California in November, I decided to try more treatments for my dysautonomia, and part of that meant I needed to find a new doctor. So I had my neurologist send me a referral to a fairly specialized autonomic clinic here in San Francisco. So in case you don't know what dysautonomia is basically all of your automatic functions in your body malfunctioning. So for example, things like your heart rate, your blood pressure, your digestion, your temperature regulation, everything you don't normally have to think about is what's malfunctioning in people with dysautonomia. This can cause symptoms such as a feeling of anxiety, lightheadedness, dizziness, passing out, nausea, bloating, excessive sweating or not sweating enough, and just general fatigue and ickiness. I had already had a skin biopsy, which determined that my autonomic nerves were damaged, but I had never had the full panel of autonomic testing, so that was one of the first things that my new doctor decided to do to determine which specific types of dysautonomia I have and how severe my symptoms were. The testing that he ordered was 4 different sections. Before the test, I was not allowed to eat. I had to stop all my medications. I wasn't allowed to wear compression socks, and I had to wear very loose clothing. And this was just to make sure that there was nothing interfering with the results. And to be honest, the buildup and the stopping the medications was the least comfortable part for me. A lot of you wanted me to film the testing process, and I really wanted to, but unfortunately in my doctor's office, filming in the testing area isn't allowed, just for patient safety and privacy and things like that. But I did ask the nurse to take a picture, so you'll see that. I filmed a little bit of the drive up and just waiting in the office. I filmed what I could, so here's a little short clip of our day. After the testing, we went out to eat at a restaurant I've been really wanting to go to, and we went to the mall to get Steven a cheesecake. So the first part of the test was a sweat test. I think it's called the Q-SART test, and basically all that happened was they had these little plastic capsules that put liquid on my skin. They just wrap it around a site on your arm, calf, and your ankle. It just feels like it's wet, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't inject anything. And then they put a little electrode sticky pad above that spot. During the actual testing part, nothing comes out of the capsules, nothing pokes you, nothing stings. The electrodes start stimulating your skin, and that just feels kind of like a kind of staticky, maybe a little bit of stingy and itchy, but it's really not bad. It's a lot like a TENS machine. Those electrodes stimulate for about 5 minutes, and then you just lay on the table and relax there for the rest of the 15 minutes while the machines record all of your data. The second part of the test is two parts, and it involves your breathing and it measures your heart rate and blood pressure. So the first part is a deep breathing test where you watch a screen and there's a bar that raises up and down. You inhale as it goes up and you exhale as it goes down, and they measure your heart rate and your blood pressure while you're doing that, and that's all. The third part is a little bit more unpleasant, at least it was for me, just because it provoked symptoms a little bit more. It's kind of the same as the breathing one, but there's a tube that you have to breathe in that's plugged, so you're pushing your breath against a blocked tube. You watch the screen and you push a bar. As you blow, the bar lifts and you have to hold it at a specific point for 12 to 15 seconds. Then once you stop, your heart rate and blood pressure are monitored, and they're monitored throughout the whole thing. It's just another way to determine how your autonomic nervous system is functioning and cooperating with your breathing. The last part of the test is probably the most unpleasant, and if you've had these tests, I'm sure you probably agree. It's called the tilt table test, and you've been laying on the table through all the other tests, so you've been laying flat on your back for about 45 minutes. They put some straps on your chest and on your legs, and they tilt you up to standing on your own. Feels a little bit like a roller coaster ride, but that's the part of the test that can cause the most symptoms. Basically through the whole thing, they're just monitoring what your heart rate is doing and what your blood pressure is doing. At my specific clinic, the doctor talked to me a lot during the test. Like while I was standing, he was asking me how my symptoms were, how I was feeling. It was unpleasant and not fun, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever experienced. So those tests were to figure out what type of dysautonomia I have and try and determine some new treatment plans. My results came back a few days ago, and it basically just showed overall moderate dysautonomia and specifically postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. My doctor decided to start me on a new medication, which I've been on for a couple days. He did say that I can go ahead and start an exercise program, which I'm really excited for. So I'd love to know if you all have had autonomic testing, what your experience was, or if you have any questions about how my experience went. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can be notified of all of my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching. Bye.